In our fast-paced world, patience seems to have become a rare and often overlooked virtue. Yet it is precisely patience that holds the key to our breakthrough. We live in an age of instant gratification where everything is expected to happen quickly, where we want our results now, and we grow impatient when things do not unfold as we desire. But in the quiet waiting, in the times of uncertainty, there lies an opportunity for growth, transformation, and discovery. Patience is often regarded as a mere virtue, a nice trait to have, but in reality, it is much more than that. It is the bedrock on which the structure of personal growth and character development is built. It is easy to think of patience as simply waiting for something to happen, but true patience is far more profound. It is a deliberate act of endurance, a conscious choice to trust the process, to remain steadfast even when the results are not immediately apparent. In a world that encourages immediate results and instant gratification, the value of patience can sometimes be overlooked. However, it is precisely this quality that allows us to grow, to become better versions of ourselves, and to reach the highest potential we are capable of. The act of being patient requires a deep inner strength. It is the ability to hold fast to one's vision, even when the circumstances do not align with expectations. Most of us are familiar with frustration, especially when we feel like we are doing everything right but not seeing the results we desire. It is in these moments that patience becomes not only essential but transformative. Instead of yielding to impatience or frustration, we are presented with an opportunity to take a step back, reevaluate, and ask ourselves whether the path we are on is leading us to the kind of person we want to become. Personal growth is never a linear process. We often envision success as a straight line, a smooth, uninterrupted path toward our goals. However, the reality is that growth happens in stages, and these stages are often messy, unpredictable, and full of setbacks. It is in these times of delay and difficulty that patience becomes the most valuable tool in our journey. Instead of rushing through challenges or trying to force outcomes, patience teaches us to embrace the discomfort, to acknowledge the struggle, and to understand that these are the very moments in which growth is occurring. When we are patient, we allow ourselves to learn from our experiences rather than simply focusing on the outcome. Every failure, every setback, and every obstacle presents an opportunity to grow and develop. Patience gives us the space to process these challenges, to reflect on them, and to integrate the lessons they offer. Without patience, we would be quick to abandon our pursuits at the first sign of difficulty. We would never learn the value of persistence, nor would we develop the resilience necessary to face the inevitable struggles that life brings. The relationship between patience and personal growth is also evident in the way patience shapes our mindset. It forces us to confront our fears and doubts, to face the discomfort of uncertainty, and to let go of the need for immediate answers. In doing so, we cultivate a mindset that is more open, more adaptable, and more resilient. Patience nurtures the ability to think long-term, to invest in the process, rather than merely focusing on the end result. In a culture obsessed with quick fixes and immediate rewards, cultivating patience becomes an act of rebellion against the prevailing notion that everything must happen now. But patience is not simply about waiting, it is about the attitude we bring to the waiting period. How we handle the moments of delay and uncertainty will determine the quality of our growth. In the absence of patience, frustration and discouragement can easily take root, poisoning our sense of self-worth and our belief in the process. But when we approach delays with patience, we can find peace in the knowledge that all good things take time. We start to trust that the right opportunities will arise at the right time, and that every delay is merely a stepping stone towards something greater. One of the most profound aspects of patience is its ability to cultivate humility. Patience requires us to recognize that we are not in control of everything. It forces us to surrender to the rhythms of life, to acknowledge that we cannot force progress or manipulate outcomes according to our will. This act of surrender is not a sign of weakness, rather, it is a recognition of the deeper forces at work in our lives. Patience teaches us to trust in a larger plan, to understand that there is wisdom in the unfolding of life, and that everything is happening for a reason, even if we cannot immediately see it. As we learn to be patient, we also learn to be present. We become more attuned to the present moment, more aware of the opportunities and lessons that surround us every day. In our rush to achieve, we often overlook the small but significant steps that are shaping our journey. Patience teaches us to slow down, to notice the little things, and to appreciate the process as much as the destination. It reminds us that growth is not just about achieving goals, but also about becoming the kind of person who can handle those goals with grace and wisdom. Patience also deepens our empathy for others. When we experience the challenges and frustrations of waiting, we become more compassionate toward those who are also struggling with their own delays and setbacks. Patience helps us to recognize that everyone is on their own unique journey, and that we are all doing our best with the circumstances we have. This empathy enriches our relationships, strengthens our connections, and fosters a sense of unity and shared purpose. The idea of patience as a tool for personal growth is not a new concept. Across cultures, religions, and philosophies, patience is consistently regarded as an essential quality for those who wish to develop wisdom, character, and strength. From the Stoics of ancient Greece to the teachings of Eastern philosophies, patience has always been seen as the pathway to greater understanding and inner peace. It is through the patient endurance of hardship that we refine our character, deepen our compassion, and emerge stronger and wiser. In the context of personal growth, patience acts as a counterbalance to the forces of impatience and restlessness that often dominate our lives. It forces us to step outside the rush of the world and to focus on what truly matters: our development, our well-being, and our purpose. Patience provides the space for reflection, for recalibration, and for deeper insight into who we are and who we are becoming. It is the steady pulse that beats beneath the surface, quietly shaping us even when we are unaware of its influence. Ultimately, patience is not just about waiting for something to happen. It is about allowing the right conditions to emerge, about trusting in the natural flow of life, and about growing in ways that we may not yet understand. It is a silent, enduring force that, over time, produces results that far exceed the fleeting rewards of immediate gratification. Through patience, we transform not only our circumstances but also ourselves, evolving into the people we are meant to be, ready to embrace the breakthroughs that await us. True breakthroughs in life are rarely the result of sudden flashes of insight or immediate solutions to our problems. Instead, they are the culmination of consistent, steady progress over time, built on a foundation of patience and perseverance. While we often desire instant results or quick fixes, real transformation and success require sustained effort, a long-term vision, and a willingness to endure through periods of uncertainty and challenge. Breakthroughs are not achieved through hurried actions or impulsive decisions, but through the patient, deliberate pursuit of our goals, step by step. When we talk about breakthroughs, we often think of them as sudden and dramatic events, a moment when everything falls into place, when everything we've worked toward comes to fruition. While this moment of revelation or success may appear sudden, it is actually the result of countless hours of hard work, learning, and persistence. A true breakthrough is never the result of a single action or decision. It is the outcome of continuous effort, of showing up every day, even when progress seems slow or invisible. Consider the example of an artist working on a masterpiece. It is not the completion of a single stroke of the brush that creates the work of art, but the thousands of tiny, patient decisions made over time, the careful planning, the countless layers of paint, and the constant refining of technique. Each step may seem insignificant on its own, but together they build towards something extraordinary. Similarly, breakthroughs in our own lives are often the result of many small, patient actions, whether it's putting in hours of practice to improve a skill, learning from our mistakes, or simply showing up consistently in the face of adversity. In our fast-paced world, it is easy to fall into the trap of expecting immediate results. We want to see instant progress and feel discouraged when it doesn't come. But true breakthroughs rarely happen quickly. They are the result of time and effort, of facing challenges and overcoming setbacks, of learning and growing through each experience. The process may be slow, but each step forward, no matter how small, is one step closer to the breakthrough we seek. Patience teaches us to trust in this process, to understand that real progress takes time, and to believe that our efforts will eventually lead to success. The challenge of patience is not simply about waiting passively for things to happen, but about maintaining focus and consistency even when the results are not immediately visible. It is about believing in the value of the journey, even when we cannot yet see the destination. Patience allows us to stay committed to our goals, to keep pushing forward even when it feels like we're not making progress. It teaches us to trust that the work we are doing is not in vain, and that each step we take brings us closer to the breakthrough we desire. Ultimately, breakthroughs come not from a desire for instant gratification, but from a willingness to embrace the journey, to understand that success is built over time, and to remain patient and focused on the long-term vision. The key to achieving a breakthrough is not rushing the process, but allowing it to unfold naturally, trusting that with each passing day, we are moving closer to the realization of our dreams. When we learn to embrace patience and stay committed to the process, we unlock the true potential for breakthrough and transformation in our lives. There is something deeply ingrained in the human soul, a longing for purpose, a desire to live for something greater than the ordinary. It is this yearning that often drives us to seek meaning in our lives, to pursue ambitions, to chase after goals that promise fulfillment. Yet, for all of our striving, many find that their pursuits ultimately fall short, leaving them feeling unsatisfied, unfulfilled, and empty. The world offers us countless ways to find purpose through career success, wealth, recognition, relationships, or personal achievements. But these often leave us wondering if this is truly what we were created for. It is in this very moment of questioning, when the noise of the world grows louder, that Jesus steps in, offering us a purpose far beyond anything the world can offer. When Jesus calls us, he does not call us to live lives of mediocrity or mere existence. He calls us to something far higher, a purpose that transcends the mundane. His call is not one to passively accept the conditions of life and live according to the world's standards, but one to actively engage in a mission far greater than ourselves. This is not simply a call to pursue personal dreams, nor is it a call to follow the expectations of society. It is a call to a divine purpose, a purpose that connects us to the eternal, a purpose that shapes every part of who we are and how we live. For many, this purpose is initially difficult to grasp. It does not come in the form of clear, immediate answers or tangible goals. In fact, it is often something that is slowly revealed over time as we walk with Jesus and learn to listen to his voice. It is a purpose that transcends our limited understanding, inviting us to step out of the comfort zone of self-interest and into the expansive realm of God's will. This purpose is not necessarily about achieving fame or fortune, rather. It is about aligning our lives with the eternal story that God is telling in the world. It is a call to join in his work, to be part of a greater narrative that is unfolding before us. The purpose Jesus offers is rooted in the idea that life is not just about our own individual desires and pursuits. We are not the center of the universe, and our lives are not meant to be lived in isolation or solely for our own benefit. Jesus calls us to a purpose that is greater than ourselves, one that is deeply connected to others, to creation, and to the kingdom of God. This purpose is one that invites us to serve, to love, to give, and to sacrifice for the good of others. It is not about accumulating wealth or recognition, but about pouring out our lives in service to something greater than our own personal ambitions. Living with purpose, according to Jesus' call, means that we begin to see the world through a different lens. We no longer view life through the eyes of self-interest, but with a broader, more compassionate perspective. Our purpose becomes centered around the needs of others, around the advancement of God's kingdom, and around the truth that we are part of something far bigger than ourselves. This shift in perspective changes the way we view our work, our relationships, and our actions. We no longer see our careers simply as a way to climb the ladder of success, but as an opportunity to serve others and to use our gifts and talents for the greater good. Our relationships are no longer about what we can get out of them, but about how we can love and care for others. Our time, our resources, and our energy are no longer spent pursuing fleeting pleasures, but directed toward the eternal purpose that God has placed before us. One of the most profound aspects of this purpose is that it brings deep fulfillment. The world tells us that fulfillment comes from personal achievement, from getting ahead, from gaining recognition and success. But Jesus shows us a different way, a way that offers fulfillment not through what we gain, but through what we give. True purpose is found when we give ourselves over to something beyond our own desires, when we pour our lives out for others and for the work of the kingdom. This is a radical shift in how we think about our lives. It is not about making our own mark on the world, but about being part of God's larger story. It is about stepping into a role that is much larger than ourselves, one that contributes to something eternal and far-reaching. But finding this purpose is not always easy. It requires a willingness to look beyond our own narrow understanding of what is important and to see life from a much broader perspective. It means letting go of the things that we once thought would bring us happiness, our pursuit of wealth, our desire for recognition, our need for comfort, and instead, seeking the things that truly matter in the eyes of God. This is not a call to abandon all ambition or to neglect our responsibilities, but to realign our goals and desires with a higher purpose. When we do so, we find that our lives take on a new depth, a new meaning, and a new direction. We begin to see that true fulfillment comes not from self-centered pursuits, but from selfless service, from loving others, and from being part of God's redemptive work in the world. At times, the world's distractions may try to pull us away from this purpose. The pressures of society, the lure of fame, wealth, and success, and the desire for personal comfort can easily sidetrack us from the path that Jesus calls us to. But when we truly understand the depth of the purpose he offers, these distractions lose their power over us. We begin to see them for what they are: temporary and fleeting. The true purpose that Jesus offers is eternal, and it is this eternal purpose that gives us the strength to endure the challenges of life. It is what enables us to stay focused even in the face of trials, setbacks, and hardships. When we begin to live according to this higher purpose, our lives are no longer defined by the ups and downs of success and failure, but by the steady commitment to live out the calling we have received from God. This commitment may not always lead to the recognition or success that the world values, but it will lead to something far greater: a life of fulfillment, joy, and eternal significance. When we align ourselves with the purpose that Jesus has set before us, we discover that it is not about what we achieve in this life, but about what we contribute to the greater good and to God's eternal kingdom. This purpose becomes the foundation upon which we build our lives, giving us a sense of direction, peace, and ultimate fulfillment. In this way, Jesus does not simply call us to live a life of comfort or ease. He calls us to a life of purpose that transcends the ordinary, that connects us to a greater story, and that offers us fulfillment in ways the world could never offer. When we follow this calling, we step into the grand narrative of God's kingdom and begin to live in a way that reflects his love, his mission, and his eternal plan for the world. The purpose Jesus gives us is not just a dream or a hope. It is a calling to step into a life that is meaningful, impactful, and aligned with God's greater purpose. One of the most powerful aspects of Jesus' work in building men is the way he transforms our relationships. At the heart of his ministry was the message of love: love for God, love for others, and love for ourselves in a way that reflects our identity as children of God. This love does not just remain an abstract concept. It is meant to be lived out, influencing how we interact with those around us. When Jesus works in our lives, he reshapes not only how we view ourselves, but also how we engage with the people in our lives. Jesus calls us to love others not only when it is easy, but also when it is difficult. He challenges us to love even our enemies, to forgive those who wrong us, and to extend grace where it may not seem deserved. This kind of love is not natural for us, and it often goes against our instincts. Our natural tendencies are to protect ourselves, to seek revenge when wronged, and to hold grudges. But when Jesus builds us, he invites us to experience a love that is radical, unconditional, and transformative. It is a love that mirrors his own self-sacrificial, generous, and always seeking the good of others. As Jesus works in us, he teaches us how to build healthy relationships, grounded in trust, respect, and mutual care. His love becomes the foundation upon which our interactions with others are built. We begin to see the value in every person, understanding that each one is created in the image of God and worthy of respect and kindness. The way we view people changes. Where we once saw them as competitors or obstacles, we now see them as individuals with their own struggles, needs, and potential. This shift in perspective enables us to build deeper, more meaningful connections based not on what we can get from others, but on what we can give. Forgiveness becomes a key part of the relational transformation that Jesus brings. In our human nature, we often hold on to offenses, allowing them to fester and damage our hearts. But when Jesus builds us, he shows us the healing power of forgiveness, both for the one who has wronged us and for ourselves. He teaches us that forgiveness is not about condoning the wrong, but about releasing the power it has over us. It is about choosing peace and freedom over bitterness and anger. The building process also extends to how we engage in community. Jesus does not call us to live isolated lives, but to live in fellowship with one another. His vision for our lives includes connection, support, and accountability within the body of believers. In a world that often promotes individualism and self-reliance, Jesus invites us into a family where we can encourage one another, bear each other's burdens, and grow together. This is a community where love is not just an idea, but a lived reality where each member is concerned for the welfare of others and is committed to helping one another grow in faith and character. As we allow Jesus to build us, our relationships become a reflection of his love and grace. We become more patient, more understanding, and more compassionate. We learn to listen more deeply, to speak with kindness, and to act with integrity. Our relationships with others are no longer driven by selfish desires or a need to control, but by a desire to serve, uplift, and encourage. The work of Jesus in building us is evident in the way we love those around us, and this love becomes a powerful testimony of the change he has brought into our lives.